So how will he handle this fearful new villain? Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with episode 3 of To Be Hero X. And we kind of seemingly close things out with, oh my god, I'm forgetting the names. Listen, it has been 2 weeks since we last got to this because last week, due to circumstances beyond my control, I wasn't able to record this. And I think that's thrown me off a little bit because I don't remember names now. Nice, I remember. And we had the entire storyline with him and the girl who was the original Nice's girlfriend, and how she was forced into this and just wanted freedom. And so we dealt with like them going through this the entire episode and eventually formulating this plan where she was going to be fake killed off so she could actually have her freedom. Which ended up working, but there was a hiccup along the way. The villain they were supposed to have, who was, not an actual villain, who was a scripted enemy, he ended up being friends with the original Nice. And so he was trying to get, answers and everything and was causing problems and eventually apparently died. And so, again, it all ended up working out as dark and sad as the path to get there has been. But she got her freedom, and thanks to our new guy, Ling, I think his name is, the new Nice. He was able to, convince people to wish for her freedom, and that, allowed her powers to work as intended again. So she wasn't just always taken to him. So things ended up turning out pretty good. And the little, surprise we had at the end of episode 1 ended up just being a fake death to try and throw, the leadership off of her case. It didn't end up working too well. But yeah, interesting. And last episode ended with showing that the interviewer guy, who is this truth seeker type of character, he ended up turning to the side of evil when given the opportunity from, I guess, a minion of the evil side. And so he's going to be a problem now. Don't know what else to expect, but I guess we're going to have to just watch and find out. And hopefully I can start to remember the names again. Again, sorry about there being nothing last week. There was supposed to be, but circumstances beyond my control, I couldn't record on Monday. And while I was able to do One Piece on Tuesday, I wasn't able to get to everything in the days after because I had other stuff to record and all. So, just didn't work out, and I prioritized One Piece. Sorry. But yeah, definitely interested to see where this goes. This has been pretty good so far. I think people have overrated it a little bit. It's not that phenomenal, but it's really good so far. I'm enjoying it. So let's check out this episode and see where it goes from here. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we are back, and we will begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, in recent years, there's been this influx of shows and movies and stuff that have been like trying to tear down the idea of superheroes, have been trying to subvert it and paint it as like either more violent or more realistic, or maybe both in cases. Obviously, the big examples of this are the likes of Invincible and The Boys, but I would say that this series is definitely doing the same thing in a different way. Yes, there is a certain level of violence to it. Yes, we see like characters dying and stuff, but it's handled in an entirely different way. It's obviously not hyper violent like The Boys or Invincible are. There's not like a huge amount of blood and gore or anything like that. Instead, it's tearing down the idea of like what heroes would be in society, which again is tackled in The Boys and Invincible, and especially The Boys with the with Vought and everything. We have a similar thing here, where we have a hero association that is scripting and staging everything. Well, mostly everything. They have like all these fights and events planned out. They market the heroes in ways that, gain their popularity, increase their power. And in some cases, a lot of these people's powers come from that. Like Moon. She was initially just a travel vlogger, but it was because of that, the people gave her powers through, the wishes, the beliefs, and all of that, to be able to go anywhere with her powers. Because it was stated that even the travel vlog stuff was set up. All of that was pre-planned. None of that was natural. Even the travel vlog stuff was not her idea. That was specifically to give her that specific power by having the viewers believe in her and believe that for her. That was the intent. And so we're seeing, like, with all of it being scripted and all, we see the case here where something isn't. Like this wolf girl, we never find out her actual name or anything. We never find out Firm Man's either. But she was a regular girl who was saved by a firefighter. And people saw this firefighter, this unplanned thing, and saw him standing firm to protect her. And they put that on him. And in reality, as we find out, she's the one who actually gave him the strength and courage to do it in the first place. She's the one who pushed him, not all these other people, and not even himself to a degree. It was her, specifically her believing in him, that pushed him to have the strength to stand firm in that moment. But everyone else saw this act, and they willed upon him this power, and it made his life hell. He couldn't, he had to stay standing strong. He had to stand firm. He couldn't bend down. He couldn't lay down. It literally wouldn't let him, and he tried. It affected his ability to sleep normally. It affected his ability to, go to the bathroom. And even as early, as quickly as when they were having the ceremony for him after he saved her. He couldn't bend down to let her put the stole on him. He couldn't even do that much at that point. And she continuously saw this, and she started drawing these stories, these comics, that represented the real him. As someone who, was human, who could, obviously bend down and lay down, but also wasn't just standing firm emotionally as well. He had the ability to cry, to feel, to emote. But everyone around her saw this as basically heresy. They saw her as smearing his name because of, I don't know, jealousy or something. But they bullied her because of it. And her issue was not with how she was treated. this evolved into her being like upset for him. He had this view put on him so heavily, this ideal put on him, and she was like sad for how it affected his life. She wanted to save him. That was her goal. Her goal was purely, let's be honest here, empathetic for Firm Man. And so when she's wanting him to destroy the statue, it's like not to destroy his symbol or anything, but to like basically she wants him to put it down, to let the weight off his shoulders. And through all of this, like, and through seeing all of this, the public who have gathered around starts to realize the truth, especially after, you know, Nice comes back in and is able to tell everyone what's actually going on. He starts crying, realizing how much this has gotten to him, and he's finally able to like let it out. And this does hurt his view, his reputation with others. And it starts to weaken him because of this, to where Nice has to come in, and this by streaming it, the lady who I can't remember her name. I'm not great with names all the time, but she starts to film it because she realizes she has to. I said it looked like she was struggling with the idea at first, like she wasn't sure if she should, and I think she was. I think like this was starting to affect her to a degree, and by seeing what was happening here and seeing, you know, Nice trying to save them, she knew that she had to stream it to give him that extra power and to like increase his popularity. It wasn't just to get him into the top 10, it was actually to help him in that moment. It definitely gave that vibe more than, you know, just what you would stereotypically think with what her position and job is and all. And it worked. He was able to protect them, to save them so they could get to safety, and, you know, it gained its popularity, got him into the top 10, as was the plan. But through this, he starts to realize the downsides to being a hero. He starts to see how heroism can come with these flaws, these problems, and especially because of how heroes work in this world. Because of heroes getting their powers through this sense of belief, oftentimes these beliefs can come with downsides. He sees it through the downsides of himself and, you know, the former Nice as well, with this intense OCD and anxiety that come with the, you know, belief of Nice being the embodiment of perfection. And I honestly do think this is probably why the original Nice killed himself. He probably couldn't handle that anymore. It became too much for him to bear. And he became suicidal because of it. Which is extremely, like, upsetting to think about. But we also saw it with Moon. Like, this entire lifestyle that she was put into, that she was basically, like, forced into this relationship and everything, she's never got to live her own life. She's never got to have the freedom of making her own choices. And that's why he chose to help her in this case. And now we, of course, see it with Firm Man, too, and how it, like, physically, like, messed him up. How it physically caused problems for him. And how it even brought this young girl who's, what, she's probably like a teenager, maybe young adult at this point. She's still pretty young. It caused her to, like, become like a villain just for the sake of stopping him. Just for the sake of, like, allowing Firm Man to take the weight of the world off his shoulders. We continue to see how this series breaks down the idea of superheroes and, like, kind of shows that there's more value in the ordinary. That there's more value in a person being human, with the natural flaws that come from that, but also the positives that come from that. It was humanity that allowed Fur-Man to become Fur-Man, that got all this attention on him in the first place. It was because of his human spirit and his desire to save and protect this girl who was believing in him. It was Moon's humanity that, Nice fought for in the end. That he helped her overcome her bonds, the chains that were binding her down, and that he spoke for at her funeral, quote unquote, because, And it's the humanity of it all that drove the actions of Nice's main rival, main nemesis in episode 2 as well, to do what he did, to confront them about it and legitimately threaten Moon. It was his humanity and his love for his best friend, and let's be honest, more than that. It was more than friendship, it's obvious. And even in the first episode, like, humanity is behind everything here, with our current Nice and everything he's gone to. Again, I think it's Ling or Jing or something like that. Everything he's like chosen to do and everything like that he stood for prior has been out of humanity. And he's starting to now see, like, yeah, he wanted this at first, and this was a pretty cool concept to become the new Nice. But he's starting to realize it's like, this is just as much of a curse. The way that this heroing works in this world can be just as much of a curse as it is a blessing. And it causes just as much pain as good. Each of these episodes have shown a different factor of that. The downfalls of what this hero business does to people, and what it means to truly be human, and how that's the real superpower, humanity. And I don't know how controversial of an opinion this is going to be. After just these first 3 episodes, I think that this series handles the subversion of the superhero trope drastically better than The Boys or Invincible. Because The Boys and Invincible is just like, let's just make it as violent as possible. Let's make it as, politically motivated as possible. And do as much, like, and make it as, like, intensely upsetting and crazy and psychotic as we can. And there's aspects of both of those shows that, have a lot of positivity, a lot of, good writing and good theming with it. But this series is like, we don't need to have that extreme gore. We don't need to have that, intense violence and evil for a lot of these, corrupted heroes and all. We can just showcase the difference between how this society views and creates these heroes, and how that affects who they are as people, as human beings, who have all of this literally thrust upon them because of how other people view them. There's a lot more that can be said from this than with stuff like The Boys and Invincible, that I feel like speaks so many more volumes in a more important way. And if this continues throughout the rest of this, I really just feel like this series is going to be, not just popular, because obviously it's popular as fuck, but I feel like it's going to, like, really have people thinking in better ways about superhero media than the likes of The Boys or Invincible ever could. And this could even change a lot of the fandom based landscape of superhero media, to turn away from the idea of subversion of the trope that we get from The Boys and Invincible, so that stuff like this will become more of a popular subversion than that. That would definitely be a hope of mine. And again, I'm not saying this just to hate on The Boys or Invincible. Both of them have a lot of good positives. Both of them have negatives too, but everything does. I just feel like this has more important things to say and is tackling things in a better way than either of those other two shows. Which I'm not, again, they have plenty of good things to say too. They tackle things well, but just comparatively. um this series just continues to impress every episode. And I'm really excited to see what happens next. Now we saw the ending with God Eye finding and abducting Moon and revealing to the world that not only is she not dead, but that the Hero Society has been lying to everyone, that everything's been scripted. He's going to reveal everything with Nice. It's like just this entire breaking down the system situation, which goes in line with the themes of that I was talking about. Except here you have someone who's trying to break down the system in a negative way. Someone who's trying to do it to instill fear and to get revenge. Compared to Nice, who is very clearly going to try to, subvert the system and everything for the sake of himself and other people's other heroes being able to live their lives in their way, being able to not be restricted by the beliefs of others, which there's a lot you could say just about that alone. Being restricted by the beliefs of others. But yeah, I'm very excited to see how this goes. No spoilers, as always. Do not spoil me. I am blind to this series pretty completely, and I do not want to know anything that is going to happen coming up. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Let me know what you thought of this episode down below. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.